Noir Radio.
Allô, 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 allô. Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour à tous. I know it's been a while. Someone forgot to put their phone on silence, but it's okay. It's completely okay. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching us. For the returning viewers, we appreciate you more than you know. This is Noir Radio. I am one of your hosts, Alistair, and I'm co-hosted by...
Beefy, your favorite shit talking squirrel friend. Yeah, good thing you said your name, because I have a faint recollection of doing something with you. Like we had a podcast or a show, like we used to get together once a week, but it's been so long. I barely remember your face. So what are we doing here again? I cannot remember for the life of me.
This is a place where we talk about anything and everything. And it's a place where you need to keep an open mind, because most likely you'll be offended at some point. But it's all in honest, open discussions. So, Beefy,
So true.
we always used to say, if you don't have an open mind, get the F out. But I think let's change that a little bit. If you don't have an open mind, just be quiet and listen.
Yeah, have several
Don't
seats.
leave.
You're welcome to stay. Just stay back in the corner. Hit the mute
That's
button.
right.
You can just,
Hit the mute
time
button.
holding. No tomatoes.
No
Alistair, let's
tomatoes.
welcome our friend and guest here, Mr. Robert Last. Thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, Robert.
So happy to be here. Thank you.
Robert Last. I like your last name.
Thanks. That's actually part of my last name. It's not my full last name.
Is it?
Yeah, my full name is actually Lastra, but it sounds kind of weird. It's Italian, but it sounds kind of weird. So I decided to shorten it and make it more palatable.
What's the last name? What's the Italian last name?
Lastra.
Lastra. That's
Yeah.
not difficult to pronounce. It must be an American thing.
But it's well, you're French, correct?
Yeah, nobody's laughing at my jokes today. Oh my god! All right.
Whoa,
Okay.
we'll have to get a laugh track for you.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just threw like
that's fine.
three puns, hoping to get cackles and giggles, and nobody cackled and giggled. So clearly,
It's got French humor.
either nobody's listening to me,
That
or
French
people are not
humor.
paying attention, or I'm just really not that funny. Yeah. Anyway, so let me just say hi to everybody that's here. Charlotte Etienne, salut, bonjour, bonsoir, comment dire à tout le monde? Ouais. Fly Girl, John Booba, Alicia, hello. Casey Chambers. It's so nice to see the recurring faces. Anyway, so Beefy,
Yes, sir.
I'm tired of talking. You talk now. I'm playing. There you go. That's what I like to hear. Some
French getting
giggles.
tired of
Yes.
talking? I've never heard that before.
I
Listen,
love giggles.
It's been a solid 2 weeks since we've seen each other, as I alluded to. We have a lot to catch up on. I did want to take a second before we start today. For anybody that doesn't know, my internet handle, my YouTube name, Beefy Has Anxiety. That's not me. I'm not Beefy. I'm Timmy. Beefy is actually my dog, and he's a very old pug who had his eyes removed. And I put a post up on my YouTube channel, so I think a lot of people know already. But he had a seizure last week and passed away. And thank you. It was really hard to deal with. But I just want to, in memory of my best friend, this episode is in dedication to him.
Oh, Beefy.
Rest in
I never
peace.
met Beefy, but
Yeah, he was a good boy.
Listen, pets are like family members. So
Oh
it's
man,
not
I
just
cried like a little girl.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I bet.
This had never happened to me. Actually, there were two things that happened to me that I had never experienced, that I'd kind of heard about, like through social media or legend or lore or whatever, that happened to me when it happened. The first of which is I was holding him as they went to like, shave down his paw and all that. And I just like gutturally, like from the bottom of my soul, just like heave cried. And I did that thing that I've seen in movies where it's like just crying isn't enough for you. Somehow you, for some reason, need to like scream while you're crying, like that. I had never actually done that. I thought it was people just like playing it up, how sad you are. But like there are moments, and again, this was new for me, where you are so sad that just the action of crying and having tears come out of your eyes wasn't enough. It was like to somehow get sadness out, I had to physically make noises with my mouth.
Yes.
It was very odd. I had never experienced that before. As a guy who, my past, I worked 10 years in construction. Tapping into these emotions is a relatively new experience for me, especially being in sobriety, where I spent so long just dampening down all these feelings with drugs. When I'm sober, I have to feel all these things in like 1080p, like crystal clear 4K, and so it can be overwhelming at times. And this moment in particular, just oh God, I'll never forget it. But the other thing that happened that I had never experienced but heard about, as I was holding him, they did the thing and they put the injection in, like it happens through 3 shots. So one puts him to sleep, like not like to sleep, like so he's actually physically sleeping. Like, yeah. Okay. The other one is the sedation, where he really is like out, like there's no more snoring. He's just like, barely conscious. Like they can do surgery in that position. And then the third shot is where they physically make him stop breathing. And they went to go put the last shot in, and that's when the guttural heaving started. And what really triggered it was I felt, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but even a dog, when it's sleeping, they're still subconsciously like holding their weight up, like their paws are held up. They're holding, you know what I mean? Like there's pressure holding their paws and stuff up.
Tension.
Yeah, tension. Thank you. And as he went, I physically felt the weight of him push down into my arms, like dead weight. Like I had never really experienced what that really meant, like the actual term dead weight, until it was in real time in my arms and like feeling his heartbeat stop. It was awful, but very, very powerful to like physically feel the horrifying reality of death. It was hard, but something I'll certainly never forget.
Well, Beefy was loved and he lived a good life. So I'm sure he was happy.
Yeah, he was. It needed to happen. He was his last 2 years were tough. But I didn't mean to be a bummer, but I've noticed as I go back and rewatch these shows that a lot of this podcast is like almost like a time chronicle of our life. Like I go back and watch episodes like a year ago, and it's like, oh, I remember when that was happening. And so I don't know. It felt important to me to at least put it out there that I miss my friend, and it was hard. Thank you for everyone in the chat, by the way. Everyone's saying really nice things and sharing stories of their past companions, and my heart's with you. But I know you had been going through some tough stuff. I don't know how much you want to discuss on air, but is everybody doing okay nowadays?
Everybody's fine.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, definitely doing pretty well. Especially since I got the channel back up and running. Like I told you before, it's been going on like 2 years, right about 2 or 3 years that the channel was inactive. I had posted about 9 videos, and then I
Which
just
one?
stopped. My channel.
Yeah,
my channel, my YouTube channel is Robert Last, just like in the name. There you go.
Yeah, it's tagged right in the title. They can just click right on and find it.
Yeah, there you go. Feel free to go ahead and check it out. I do movie reviews as well as Hollywood talks and stuff like that. We recently just hit our very first 100 subscribers, so I'm really psyched about that.
Bravo! Congrats!
Thank you. That usually when I put it down is when I was going through kind of like a rough time as well, specifically with alcoholism and some substance abuse. But it's been like a couple years since then, and I really just wanted to pump some life back into the channel, and it's going great. It's going great. I'm really excited for the future. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Yeah. Have you noticed since you've like really shifted and gotten to focus back onto your YouTube channel, has it made like a difference in your everyday life?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you should have seen my house when I was
You were cleaning?
not doing something else. I did sales for many years. I did some acting jobs as well, but mostly sales, car sales, or solar panels, or a bunch of stuff. And it was good, but it never really filled me. Nothing that I ever did really made me feel whole until I actually started doing this. And now it's like I actually have a schedule, and I actually clean my house, and I actually like do stuff around the house that I would just never do. I would just sort of throw everything like somewhere and leave it in a corner. And it's made me way more organized because now I actually have to follow like, a certain timeline and a certain schedule to post videos and post on social media and stuff like that.
Nice.
So it's really made me way more concentrated and way more like organized in my life.
I noticed a similar thing when I got into YouTubing. It was just like, even though people couldn't see me, like I've never really revealed my face, I had like an expectation to, I guess, like people to answer to it, if that makes sense. And it just was a similar experience of, well, I got to get my shit together. I'm on YouTube now, which doesn't really make sense because like people can't, especially in my case where they couldn't see me, but I had a very similar experience. It just like completely turned my life around.
Yeah. Hi, Christine. I just saw your message. Hello, Christine. Nice to see you. My big thing, the biggest thing really from getting to YouTube was the unexpected amount of work. I think it's when you don't know, you just go in there like just posting videos, right? What's the big deal? But it's so much work. And when you look into the details of really the ecosystem of YouTube, it has to be work because you are a partner of the company YouTube, and so they don't want slackers. They want you to work. And so it's that was the biggest shocking thing. It's like, oh my God, this is like a full-time job.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sometimes I was putting more into my YouTube channel than I was my full-time job.
Your full-time job, yeah, it is like a full-time job. So
I was actually talking to my I was actually talking to my grandmother the other day. Really quick, I want to shout out Alicia B. I hope I said that right. Thanks for the sub. I hope you like the content on the channel. But I was actually talking to my grandmother the other day, and she just like roasted me very lightly, where I was telling her, hey, I'm working on a video, and she watches all my videos. She loves them. I love her so much. Shout out, Grandma. But she told me,
shout out, Grandma.
Hello, Nana. Nana.
What are you gonna eat? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, like, you have to make money. I'm like, I'm not making money off of YouTube right now, but this is a career. It's like, this requires just as much work. Like I wake up editing videos. I go to sleep editing videos. Especially the last one.
You're investing in yourself. The money will come.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not really worried about the money right now. I just really want to put my voice out there, and hopefully people like what I have to say. But definitely the last video that I made was based on the Nickelodeon Scandal as well. Feel free to check it out. It's on the channel already. That one is the longest video I've made by far. That one was more of a podcasty journalistic thing. And it took me like a solid 3 days to finish that video. And I started recording like the night before, because usually it's like 2 hours of recording and then like 8 to 10 hours of editing.
That's such a statement right there. 2 hours. It's so true too. Yeah, 2 hours of recording equals like 3 to 4 times the amount of time editing.
You want to know how much recording footage I got from that video? It was like 3 hours and 45 minutes of footage.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I had to shave it all off. I no joke had to delete all my other projects from my laptop. I mean, I put them in a backup. But I had to upload it.
Yeah, because you didn't have enough memory.
Wow.
I didn't have, my memory ran out like 3 times.
Wow.
I had to just keep clearing stuff. I deleted like 10,000 from my storage.
That last video I made, it was about Les Gold from Hardcore Pawn. And it was so big. Like there were so many cuts in the render for my Photoshop software, the editing software, that I literally had to get rid of almost everything on my laptop just to get it to because it kept freezing during the render. So it would get to like 80%, and finally it was like, all right, I guess my video games are going now. And then click delete, and it finally just it's like literally the only thing left was everything I needed to produce the video on my laptop. Broke my heart.
So I have an external drive, and I do up my uploading and my editing using the external drive. I don't have any like lag and whatnot. I've actually streamlined my process from 1 hour video, 1 hour editing. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? How the hell do I do that?
You're not editing, right? That's from what I understand, right? You're just Miss One Take Wilson over here.
It's one take Wilson, and you get what you get. That's what it is. Like if I burp, I burp. Maybe I clip a few things here and there, but it's pretty much I put on the camera, and it is what it is. Because I used to like once you're trying to make it super intricate, you can get to 10 hours easy.
Yeah, and you can drive yourself crazy trying to over edit something. I think this show has helped in that regard a lot too. Like when we made the shift to doing this live.
Do you remember we used to argue before? You'd be like, "Who's gonna edit? Not me." You're like, not me.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. When did you ever tell me once you edited an episode of Blood?
No, I'm the one who told you that. I was like, I'm not editing.
I'm not editing. Yeah, fair enough. You did say that from the get go. You're like, I'm not doing it.
Right up from the start. I'm like, I'm not editing nothing. So,
but taking the editing out of this process has made me want to do the show so much more because it's like
so much easier. Yeah, it made it easy and breezy. Beautiful cover girl, Christine. The family is doing great. I'll send an update when I get the chance. I'll send an update.
Yeah, how's Olympia?
Alive.
Yeah.
Yes, but anyway, Robert, what's your best piece yet in terms of your content?
Definitely that last video.
The Nickelodeon one?
Yeah, no thought. It's just, I mean, I've made some all my videos I'm really proud of. I've never been the kind to look back at my old content and I'm really proud of everything that I've made. They definitely get better every time, but that last one was like I went all in. I mean, actually I got a mic, which I don't know if you can see right there. I actually got a mic for that video because I thought if I'm gonna have people listen to what I have to say for 45 minutes, I'm not gonna have them listen to it on my old mics.
All right,
like this one. These mics.
Those aren't bad. Those really aren't bad.
They're not bad, but just it was. I'm a very loud person, and when I talk really loud, it kind of gets distorted.
Yeah.
So I would have struggled, and I said, let's go all in. Let's get perfect audio, and just the editing process taught me so much because, like I said, I ran out of storage, and then I had to compress the audio files, and just everything that I made in that video is like half of the editing was new. I was like, I learned so much from editing that one video, so I'm really proud of it.
Wow!
Yeah, check it out if you
I'll check it out. All I hear is you're sleep deprived.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm actually going to put this out there. I started recording the night before.
Okay.
And I said, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna because usually, like I said, 2 hours of recording and 1 to 2 hours of recording and like 8 to 10 hours of editing. That was a lie. So I started at like 10 p.m. and I said, I'm gonna pull an all-nighter, record, edit, have this out by Friday morning. Boy, was I wrong.
Oh, yes, you're wrong.
I had it out like Sunday afternoon. No, I had it out Monday because even Sunday I finished it at like 5 and I said, well, it's too late now. I'm just going to have to wait till tomorrow. And that was another learning curve is like, don't promise videos that you don't know you'll be.
Yeah, well, you were smart to get it out in a short time frame because it really is like a trending topic. I mean, it's probably gotten some good traffic to your channel. Everybody's talking about it, but before you guys go and click off and check out his Nickelodeon video, make sure you stick around because we're about to dive into it. All of the Nickelodeon Scandal. Before we jump into all of this stuff, Robert, obviously you're very familiar with it, but Alistair, what have you heard about basically what everyone's talking about with this Quiet on the Set thing?
So I've heard bits and pieces, partially because, well, I heard it from one of my clients. And the reason why is because I was too busy with life to really pay attention to
fair enough.
The world. So, but I understood that there was something brewing based on what my clients were telling me during work.
Well, totally okay. We love it when you go in fresh. We get your live reaction to stuff up
Oh
into
my
four. I love
god!
it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I mean, you're a millennial. Did you consider yourself a '90s baby? Do you really know what? Actually, here, hang on.
Yeah, I used to watch Nickelodeon. Please. Yeah, even when I didn't speak English.
You know what that logo means? What does that logo mean to you?
Okay, well, are we gonna go really dirty here?
I guess.
Okay, so I guess it's just my mind that's being dirty.
Yes, it's just you.
Got it. So what does that mean? Well, it's a kids show, Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Yes, Nickelodeon is a paid television cable channel owned by the Paramount Global Network through Paramount Media Network subdivision Nickelodeon Group.
Oh, I
You
knew
guys
that. Oh,
you
that's what you
guys
meant.
might know Paramount today as being like one of the lesser known streaming platforms, but back in the 80s and 90s under Paramount's previous name Viacom, they owned some of the
No,
biggest.
yeah. Viacom is huge. Little.
Yeah, still are. Well,
Viacom is no joke.
what I said was Paramount in comparison to all the other streaming apps like Netflix, HBO.
Mm.
Paramount's kind of like the Diet Coke. You know what I mean? Like nobody's chomping at the bit to get Paramount Plus. Let's be real. There's some good stuff on there though. They have a good back catalog.
That's funny.
But back in the 80s and 90s, they were really at the top of anything non-basic cable. Like they were dominating America's airwaves, controlling such major IPs such as MTV, CBS, obviously Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, UPN. I spent a lot of time watching UPN as a kid. SmackDown every Thursday night. Showtime, BET, just like a slew of other networks. Like they were, for all intents and purposes, a media conglomerate. And although the channel has been around since 1977, most of us primarily associate Nickelodeon with the children's programming renaissance of the 1990s that saw many of us millennials through our formative years. I think a lot of you guys are probably familiar with this intro here. Let me play this quick. Is that not just like a surge of nostalgia? Am I the only one?
Yeah, I remember that opening scene.
Oh my god, I saw this so many times.
Yeah.
When was this?
So this was, I believe, early 90s.
1993.
Yeah, I'd say probably 93, 94. That's Cat saying memories unlocked. Yeah, for sure. Stickly. Oh, it was the golden era of kids TV.
Yeah, it was really great.
I definitely feel like the old man in the room, but like, I'm sorry, they don't make kids TV like this anymore. The quality
Back
was
in my day.
Yeah.
Well, it's because we're older now, so it doesn't hit the same chord. But trust me, the kids today love their shows. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, all the kids. What are the big popular ones now? It's like Paw Patrol and
Paw Patrol.
Bluey. I see a lot of Bluey everywhere.
Yeah, I don't find Bluey funny at all. Bluey puts me to sleep. But
does
again,
Olympia watch any kids TV?
She's obsessed with The Little Mermaid. Oh my god, I've seen The Little Mermaid a million times. I've seen
the new one.
All the new ones. Everything with a mermaid, I've seen it. She's obsessed. She has a mermaid doll, mermaid cup, mermaid
nightlight. That's cute though.
Mermaid, like super cute, but it's just she's obsessed with it.
Which does she prefer? Does she prefer the 90s clamshell Disney movie or the new live action?
So she watched them all, but she prefers the one that we've watched from the 90s.
Oh, okay.
And you know the part when she goes, when she sings she gives her voice to the witch.
Cute.
My daughter gets up and she goes, she sings like that every single time. That part, yeah, she's like playing the concert. And I'm like, wow, these people really dig into the science to make the cartoon. Like even through the years, my kid is mesmerized.
Well, I think one of the key differences of what made that programming so good was they weren't really talking down to kids. Like they were making television for children, but as an adult, I can still go back and watch that stuff, and I don't feel like I'm being talked down to.
You're right.
Like if you look back at some of those Disney movies, like Hunchback of Notre Dame, The priest in that movie straight up like has a whole song about how this like street gypsy girl, you're gonna be mine or I'm gonna kill you, is like hellfire. That whole song, it's like you'll be mine or you'll burn. It's insane.
Yeah, they definitely don't make him like they used to, and that's something that I've actually never heard anyone else talk about before. But I actually agree that now it's like you have kids content and you have like, well, not like adult content, right? But like you have, you know, adult content, and they're polar opposites. It's like I can't sit down and watch Paw Patrol, and you know, kids can't sit down and enjoy what I watch. But before, like the 90s, early 2000s, there was like this, they kind of blended together a little bit, and it made it special, like, because everyone could go see it and enjoy it. It's like Pixar movies, you know, like that. Nowadays, even the Pixar movies are affected. I feel like they're more childish than they were before.
Yeah, some of them are still good, though. I just saw the new one about the elements. Actually, I really like that one.
I haven't seen that one.
But you're right. My dad, he loved Ren and Stimpy, and that was like probably one of the more like adult-ish kids cartoons. But it was still primarily aimed at children, and my dad would watch that show, and he effing loved it. He was not the type of dad to sit through like and watch Barney with you. He hated that stuff, but he effing loved Ren and Stimpy.
My favorite one is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, same. Belle. Oh.
And I put it in French. And I was like, nostalgia. Oh my Lord.
It's so good. That's probably my favorite too. I think that's like secretly everyone's favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, the live action Beauty and the Beast is my favorite too.
Oh, look at us all hopeless romantics.
I'm joking. That was a joke. I thought you guys would pick up. No, I don't like the live actions.
Yeah, the live action remakes aren't my favorite, but
yeah, no.
I mean, who can't relate to the story of a girl just wanting to change a guy? Like, he's a beast, but I can change him.
Don't forget, he's rich and a prince. And got all the money in the world. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
I mean, hot take, but I think he was more attractive as the Beast.
Yeah. Honestly, we were talking. We watched it this last Christmas, and we were saying the same thing. I think it's just the way they animated him, because they made him look really badass and cool in the Disney animation, and then you see him turn into the guy, and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's like, can I go back? I was like, can I rewind time?
All right. So yes, I believe almost all of us are generally familiar with this era of Nickelodeon. You know, we're talking Double Dare, Angry Beavers, All Real Monsters. The list goes on. You know, Rugrats, all that. You know, like I could go on for days here. Just a list of these just monster smash hit TV shows. Yeah. Nickelodeon in the 90s was doing unprecedented numbers, not just in children's television, but American broadcast in general. They just, Nickelodeon was a phenomenon for all intents and purposes. Nick in the 90s would split their programming into three phases. There was proper Nickelodeon programming, which aired during the day. Nick Jr., which during the work week focused its programming around the younger demographic under the assumption kids between 5 and 16 were at school. So starting, I think it was around like 6 a.m. to about 3, it was very like toddler focused, you know, Blues Clues, that kind of stuff. And then at night, they would shift their programming, which back then they featured what were called classic sitcoms from the 1950s and 70s aimed at adults, as again, the thought process being that children had already fallen asleep. I could tell you firsthand, that was a child in this period that like, I was never asleep by like 9 o'clock. Yeah. And that would be proven true through like the rise of Cartoon Network airing cartoons 24/7, but like more aimedly, they brought out the like Adult Swim block of like quote unquote adult cartoons, which broadcasted like a more mature children programming after 9 p.m. But I was still awake watching that stuff at like 10. Like those were my favorite shows. And I remember seeing the Nick at Night logo and just kind of rolling my eyes and immediately changing the channel when it was like I Love Family Matters, All in the Family. It's ironic now that they're playing shows that were sitcom popular in the 90s. Those are the Nick at Night programs today. I mean, I don't think it's a thing anymore, but as recently as I think like 2022, Nickelodeon was still doing Nick at Night, and they're playing like Friends, Mike and Molly. I saw another one. Mom. You guys ever seen Mom with Anna Faris?
No.
What is that? A movie, a show, or?
It's a television show. Yeah, it's a sitcom.
No.
It's crazy that shows that like we grew up with her now. It's like when you turn on the classic rock station and you hear like Disturbed and Korn and Green Day, and you're like, but in your head you're thinking like that's not classic rock, that's alternative. But like, nope, we've just become classic. Like our definition of alternative has just been like defined by an era that has now gone by.
That hurts the most in the case because I'm a big gamer. I know, right? But I love video games.
We're
and,
gamers. You're good.
Oh, there you go. And I have like the PlayStation. I'm a PlayStation guy, and I have a PlayStation 3. And if you know the PlayStation 3, it's a very old console. So sometimes I'll be looking up questions, and then I'll get like what was it called? Like retro gaming console websites. I'm like, retro, like this is it's just a PS3. It's not like we're talking about the N64.
Dang, you call yourself a gamer and you don't even have a PS4?
I have 3, 4, and 5. I'm working my way to get all of them. I'm still missing 1 and 2, but I got 3, 4, and 5.
PlayStation 1s have gotten mad expensive. I went to a retro video game store over the weekend and I was surprised. Like
but they don't make them anymore, that's why.
Yeah. Some of the like old stuff, like the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, those games sell for more than they did new. Like we went and dug up my mom's old Sega Genesis and like going through, we had all the classics, and like I started to do the math out. We had like hundreds of dollars worth of retro video games just like sitting in a tub at my mom's house, but crazy. Get old fast. It happens in the blink of an eye, I swear. Kids have no idea how good you have it.
Back in my day.
Yeah, that's there's very much those vibes going on right now. But at any rate, back in those days, the Nickelodeon days, on Saturday nights, Nickelodeon would shift into something a little different. And it wasn't necessarily Nick at Night. It was something that Nickelodeon called Snick. Let's take a look at that intro now, as this is going to become very important here shortly.
You guys watch some TV, okay? We'll be upstairs.
Don't fight over the remote.
We won't. Bye. See ya. Bye. Bye.
They're like, get out.
Right? Especially on a Saturday night. Yeah, go to the bar. Go away. Oh, there it is. The orange couch. Oh, my goodness. This hits you right in the childhood strings.
Oh, it's Keenan and Kel.
Yep.
Need anything? Everything's great. Okay. Bye.
Bye, Mom.
Let Snick transform your Saturday night.
So there you go. Featuring the titular orange couch in all of its advertisement and bumper programming, Snick, or Saturday Night Nick, was aimed towards a slightly older demographic, and it was primarily during this Snick block of TV shows that we will basically primarily be discussing today. Because unlike the bulk of the daytime programs, Snick featured primarily like preteen and teenage actors in live action shows. All that was kind of considered all that, which was like the biggest
the biggest one
on Snick, was kind of considered like a kid-friendly Saturday Night Live, I guess, like a sketch show. The Nickelodeon version of its competitor, some people know as like the Mickey Mouse Club on Disney. All that on Snick was like a sensation. And from that success, various stars from that cast would get their own spin-off shows. Just launch them into basically children's TV superstardom. You know, Amanda Show, Keenan and Kel, Drake and Josh, even iCarly was born from the success of this original show that we're really going to be talking about, that Dan Schneider worked as like an executive producer on. However, with that with all of the success that we see with all these shows. It's just a story we are, unfortunately too familiar with, is left in the wake, or some dozen very real children that were placed into high pressure, high stakes Hollywood lifestyles, and all the spoils and pitfalls that such life would attract. We'll get into some of the allegations here and the misconduct, but I think at the root of all of it was really one man. And he's a man by the name of Dan Schneider. He would be the mastermind and the brainchild behind basically his own little Schneider verse at Nickelodeon, in the wake of which lots of children's lives would be changed forever, but not just children, also adults. And we're going to get into some of the disgusting allegations that are made against this man. Before we get there, let's dive into who this man is. Before we go any further, thoughts this far? You guys were obviously Nickelodeon heads. Do you guys feel any sense of we've talked about this before, but like maybe, I guess, guilt about watching some of that stuff, knowing what was going on behind the scenes?
I wouldn't say guilt necessarily. I would just say more like disappointment.
Yeah.
And it's actually a little snippet that I found that I cut out of the video that I made. But I basically say that it really did sort of devastate me, because these kids were the pillars when I was a kid. They were like everything I looked up to, and wanting to be an actor, because I've always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be right up there with Drake Bell and Josh Peck or Miranda Cosgrove, or these huge like Nickelodeon stars that I would watch just on repeat. A little bit of what we're seeing right now is a bit before my time. I came in more towards the Zoe 101 era, like Drake Bell, Zoe 101. But definitely, I mean, learning all this and in hindsight, it's just like it's really disappointing, that a lot of people go through this, but it's worse when you know that it's children, right? Like, people are abused in Hollywood. Like, yeah, we know what else is new, but these were kids, so it's a little bit more disappointing.
Well, I think what you're saying rings true to part of the problem that happened in the atmosphere behind the scenes, and that, like you're saying, you as a kid wanted to be just like the kids you were seeing on TV. Like, you wanted to be an all that cast member. And the producers, like in particular Dan Schneider, he very much used that in his favor. Like, they would tell these kids, "Oh, you don't want to do this scene? Okay, we'll fire you. There's like 1,000 kids that are just dying to be on TV. Do you have any idea you lucky you are?" And so it created this atmosphere where, for other reasons that we're going to get into shortly, these really didn't feel like they had the avenue to speak up for themselves or advocate for themselves, or speak up when they were feeling uncomfortable, or become a problem, which again creates an unhealthy power dynamic for both the parents and the kids. It's really kind of
which is one of the this is where unions come into play. The importance of unions. They create a buffer for potential abuse like this, right? Oh, you don't want to do this, then you're fired, right? But I don't think there's a union for. I mean, there's an actors union, but I don't think they are interested in protecting the talent. Because if they, at least at the time, because if they did, none of this would have happened.
So Spooky Gnome, what's up, by the way? But real quick, if we get a gnome infestation, that's fine. Oh, howdy, gnome. If you're a child and you get a role in a TV show, are you inducted into the union as a kid?
Yes, but because you're a minor, so it's probably going to go through custodial accounts, right? So there will need to be a second signature, most likely your guardian, aka your parent, right? But absolutely, you're supposed to be protected by the union of actors, right? Which they dictate how much money you're supposed to make. They give guidelines of pay, how many hours you're allowed to work.
And the guidelines for children are much more strict. Like,
they work with what the government already sets. And also, you have to tell, like, okay, they're just gonna stand there and act happy. All right, I guess you could work an extra hour for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole bunch of steps before you get your paycheck. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we definitely know. Sorry.
No. You pitch in because you're the actors. You probably have more insight. All my knowledge is really secondhand. You probably have firsthand knowledge, right?
Well, when I was doing acting, I wasn't doing it professionally. Well, I wasn't doing it professionally. But I wasn't part of the Screen Actors Guild or anything like that. I did try to, but you need like a pretty vast resume before they actually let you join the Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They don't just let anyone in.
Okay. Well, problem number one. All right.
You go.
That's terrible.
Interesting. Well, Dan Schneider, born on January 14th, 1966, was an American television producer who, between the years of 1994 and 2004, single-handedly created a string of Nickelodeon programs that would become synonymous with the Nickelodeon boom period of late 1990s. Schneider originally got into Hollywood as a fledgling actor, doing some rather bit parts in low-budget movies and TV. However, when the opportunity presented itself to write and produce for Nickelodeon is when he very suddenly and very rapidly started to see success. Again, as we mentioned, starting off writing and producing for All That, he would take two of the show's more well-known castmates, seen on the left and right sides there, Keenan and Kel, and spin off those two cast members to a show of the same name. The titular All That star's absence was felt almost immediately, which would motivate Dan and the other All That producers to scout for new talent and find that they would in a castmate, which we would become all too familiar with, Amanda Bynes. Play one of her more famous bits from All That. Do you guys have any memories of Spooky saying who loves orange soda? Yeah. And Ham. Yeah, this is a good show, man. I love Keenan and Kel. But while I queue up this clip from Amanda Bynes and All That, do you guys have any memories of the Amanda show or seeing her and all that?
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. I watched the Amanda show. I thought she was very funny.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The Dancing Lobsters. I love that show.
I don't, like I said, this was a bit before my time, so I don't really have any insight.
How old are you, Robert?
How do I look?
Well, you say it's before your time, so you are in your 20s, early 20s.
Yeah, I think so. Kind of showing his age a little bit by saying he doesn't know who Amanda Bynes is.
No, I mean, I knew who they were, but when I was watching the network, they didn't have those shows.
You were like, what, 2 years old?
when those shows came out?
Yeah.
What was it, 97?
Yeah, probably.
I wasn't even born.
That they say. Yeah, so you're early 20s. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm 24.
24.
Who invited this guy? No, I'm just kidding. So this was Amanda Bynes' first breakout role and all that. It's really what kind of got people familiar with her. And I feel like this really showcases her comedic chops. Like you can see there's a lot of personality in this. If you put this back to back with some of the other All That skits, she's a character and she's a really good comedic actor with good timing. Like even back as far as being this young, they actually discovered her with another All That cast member. I forget her name, but she was doing like a workshop at the Laugh Factory. And so one Friday night, she basically asked Dan Schneider and a couple other All That producers to come out and see her Laugh Factory set. And that's where they found Amanda Bynes, and they almost immediately signed her. So let's check out Ask Ashley, her most well-known All That sketch.
Ashley.
Gosh, so young.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm here to answer your letters. Our first letter comes from Tracy Sullivan of Yakima, Washington. Tracy writes, Dear Ashley, that's me. Dear Ashley, my mom always makes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with the peanut butter on the top and the jelly on the bottom. But I prefer the jelly on the top and the peanut butter on the bottom. What should I do? Well, Tracy, here's a little advice. Turn the stinking sandwich over. Peanut butter's on the top and the jelly's on the... Just turn the stinking sandwich over. Man!
I mean, it's kids' humor. You know, you can definitely get a flavor for what we're talking about here. But she's a colorful character, man. She's got charisma. Like, I didn't hate it. I had a big smile on my face watching that. It's stupid, but it's like, I don't know, kind of funny.
I think grown-ups also can relate to that because like if that's what kids do. They are walking behavior pendulums. So
Yeah, so it's Cat's saying the same thing I am. Ashley resonated with me as a kid. The way she went from sweet to freaking out was me in a nutshell. And I think there were a lot of kids like that. You know what I mean?
Every kid is like that.
Yeah.
Every kid is just like, give me candy now. Thank you. Right. All kids are like that.
Yeah, and Spooky and Gnome, that's really, I have that same, I think something about when the millennium turned over that like we all somehow see like everything is new. And so like everything in the 90s still feels like it was just 10 years ago. So I'm kind of over it now, but like when we first got into like the 2020s, it was like, dude, there's no way that was 30 years ago. But yeah, it was 30 years ago.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Too fast.
Way too fast.
So yes, Amanda Bynes, arguably the most successful of all that alumni, would get her break on that set. Immediately cultivating favor with not just young audiences, but Dan Schneider in particular. Through not just the sketches like Ask Ashley, she was like a prominent member of the cast, and this would prompt Nickelodeon seeing not just the major success and all that, but also its spinoff in Kenan and Kel to create yet another spinoff of this popular variety show they had going on and all that. This time helmed by their new cast member, Amanda Bynes, in the show of the same name, The Amanda Show.
The Amanda Show. I used to love The Amanda Show. And that lawyer, the Judge Judy looking at Amanda.
Yeah. Bring up the dancing lobsters. Oh, it's the best.
It's the best. It was so funny.
This is where Dan Schneider would really shift from writer-producer into creator and showrunner role. Seeing his departure from all that, it results in an all-time low for that show's tenure, which I think spoke more to his successes. It was like, oh, well, if the show did this bad after he left, he clearly was like the linchpin behind it. But I think there was more than just Dan Schneider being on that show. I think when Amanda Bynes left, a lot of the core audience were like, well, my favorite person's gone. I'm not going to watch anymore. But that was a collective effort. That wasn't just I think they give him a little more credit than he's due in that regard. But
I mean, I feel like it was definitely I feel like it was definitely a yin and yang relationship. Like they definitely complemented each other very well, specifically when it came to the show. Now, whether or not was it always appropriate, that's still a little bit gray, but they did kind of complement each other very well. And I mean, we saw this because this really was like the stepping stone for like the huge hit of Dan Schneider.
Yeah. This was like his big break. Like he was going to ride Amanda's coattails to fame and fortune. And he, to his credit, for a certain portion of the 90s, kind of does. Like he stands by her and will see more success than he ever has. And it's because he found Amanda Bynes. Their careers are very much tied to each other. And again, like the wake of that will be felt on both of their lives for till today, really. But seeing the success of the Amanda Show and how quickly all that went downhill when they left, Albie Hecht, Nickelodeon's head of production, he really saw Schneider as the brainchild behind the network's success and sudden rise of popularity, and really kind of gave him the keys to the kingdom. From here, the quote unquote Schneiderverse would be born. He would really be kind of seen as like the Kevin Feige of sorts for this Nickelodeon renaissance. Schneider would oversee the creation of an entire fleet of shows from Drake and Josh, Scarily, Zoe 101, Sam and Cat, The Danger Force, Game Shakers, Henry Danger, which is still on today. These all came from Dan Schneider. I think the important message that I think a lot of people are taking away from all this Nickelodeon stuff is like, ultimately at the crux of it is power dynamics, like whether it's the power dynamic of an adult to a kid, or a boss to an employee, or a parent to a child. A lot of what happens behind the scenes for these child stars serves to kind of like push the limits of those power dynamics into, like, a lot of times toxicity. You know, a lot of these families, the mom and dad of these child stars, they would like quit their jobs to, like, you know, quote, manage their child's television career. So
But
now what's that?
I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
you're-
there was something important that you mentioned about the parents of the kids. I think, to my opinion, but I think to allow your child so young in their formative years to be subjected to criticism on the international stage, in my mind, I kind of question a little bit your intention for your kid, because we all know how difficult it was to be a teenager in our own private lives. Can you imagine being a teenager completely there in public and then dealing with a big mouth boss like Schneider? And I for this story, immediately I go like, Mom and Dad, where are you? Where are you? Or maybe they're there, and because it's like, oh, it's me. You go out there and be a star so I can retire.
That's exactly what it is. You know, these moms and dads, where they kind of used to be the breadwinner, now it's, you know, little Timmy. And, you know, you can imagine how much pressure that would put on a kid whose brain isn't really developed, doesn't know how to handle that responsibility in a healthy way. Like, all of a sudden, they're the ones responsible for putting food on the table for their whole family, and, you know, work all these crazy hours. Maybe all of a sudden your boss says or does something you're not entirely comfortable with. That kid isn't going to go complain and risk losing everything, not just for themselves, but their entire family. So now, like, it effectively doesn't matter what happens on set, because not only does the kid not know any better, like, they don't know what an abusive set looks like, but they're terrified to speak up for themselves because of what they can lose. And again, like we said earlier, they're just telling these kids, like, oh, you got a problem with it? Yeah, we'll fire you. We'll find somebody else. So they're put in these positions where, like I said, it really doesn't matter what's happening on set, because they're just going to go along with it.
And I definitely feel like that is a really big impact into the downfall of these child stars, right? Like, we all know, I'm sure we all know that when they hit their teenage era, like that point of their lives, with that much money and influence and power, they kind of just fly off the handle. You know, DWIs, arrests. I mean, there's a myriad of charges that a myriad of child stars have been subjected to.
Of course.
And I feel like that's also a point that leads them to such erratic behavior, is all that pent up, like, emotion of not being able to speak out, or not having really anyone watch your back, because, and not all the parents were like this. You know, not all the parents were like this. Some of them just actually wanted to see, you know, their kid be a talented star. I don't think there was malicious intent behind all the parents.
Well, you have to understand too, their kid is probably screaming in their face how desperate they want to do this. You know, I mean, how can you tell your kid no when they've got this amazing opportunity, even though it probably is what's best for them?
No, definitely. And it culminates into this sort of ticking time bomb that a lot of these child actors, they just never recover from. Like Amanda Bynes, you know, like Drake Bell. Drake Bell didn't really, like, fly off the handle like that, but you don't really see him anymore, like, until now. Or a lot of the stars that you see in the shows, like probably Ariana Grande and Josh Peck, I would say, are the only ones that came out of these shows that are still relevant today.
I wonder why. Is it because you know, as you get older, you understand how life works, and then you start asking questions from when you were a kid. You know, I'm sure. I mean, maybe not you, Robert. You're still kind of young, maybe. Wink. But I'm sure all of us here. No, I'm teasing you. But I'm sure all of us here have had a reckoning moment when we're like, wait a minute, my mom and dad actually kind of suck, ish, right?
Yeah.
And so then you start asking questions. You're like, oh, wait a minute, you didn't do it. Oh, wait a minute. And then it hits you like a truck. And you go, well, F that. I guess I'll get a little drink, a little thing here, a little thing here. I'm old now. I'm a grown up with money. I do whatever I want. You don't tell me what to do. Yeah.
Well, I think now in particular, we're realizing how much an effect even small things that happen in your childhood can have as an adult. Like you're saying, I've had moments in my life where it's like, oh, there's a reason I'm like this, and it's because X was happening in my house as a child. for a lot of these kids, they effectively didn't have childhoods. So that, what we all think of as the titular childhood home of like the nuclear family and all that, they're so far well removed from that. They're basically just thrust into adulthood. Like they're expected to work adult schedules, all kinds of these adult responsibilities. They weren't given a childhood. And so we see the results after the fact when they're an adult, when they weren't brought up in a healthy way and their brain trying to really come to terms with that. And obviously they're not going to. I think Drake Bell is a really good example. I for one, when this whole Quiet in the Set thing came out, I felt really bad because I was part of the crowd that probably misjudged him a little bit. When those court documents got unsealed and we really heard his story told for the first time, it makes so much more sense why he was spiraling out of control, because he was processing very real trauma. And what that looks like is different for everybody, and there's really no right path for how you process trauma. So, for all of us collectively as a society to have looked down at him as much as we did for DUIs and substance abuse, he was just processing damage. I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong, but I feel bad for thinking that way about him, knowing what we know now. And I think that's a big part of the reason why this whole documentary has exploded and why people are talking about this. I think us collectively as a society, we want to be better than that. And we kind of took part, like we're partly responsible.
Yes, I was going to say the reason why it has exploded is because deep down inside, we feel somewhat responsible, because the schedule wouldn't be as rigorous if we were not as excellent. What do you mean there's no show on Tuesday? Where's my show? Where's my show? Right? So, yeah.
And I think Stevia brings up a good point here, too. I think you're not giving these kids the credit they deserve. They're not unaware of what's going on. To pull off these work and school schedules, these kids are mentally strong and mature. And yeah, I
agree.
Actually, that's a good point that I actually want to expand more upon. Thank you for bringing that up. Is the education, because for most of the kids, especially like the bigger the star, like Amanda Bynes or Miranda Cosgrove, it's like they usually don't go to school anymore. They usually just have a tutor, but it doesn't really work. So it's also a little bit neglectful for their education. They don't really, they stop going to school at one point, and then it's just tutor, but it's also tutor, show. So they don't really get enough time to do anything, and they have to choose one or the other. And what do they choose? They choose stardom. They don't choose education.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And to your point also, not so sweet Stevia, I agree. I think children are very adaptable, right? And I think if you plug them and put them in that environment, they're going to adapt and thrive, most of them. The issue here is that for kids, if you keep them in that particular environment, they will grow up to be a particular person. And I think it's important that children do try to stay children or within the boundaries of what a kid is like. I wouldn't expect a 12-year-old to start talking to me about how to balance a checkbook. I mean, great if you do, but I wouldn't put that on you as a requirement. And that's where I feel like, as a parent, I'd be like, look, darling, I know you really like, to memorize those lines, but go out there and play Barbie with your friends for a couple hours. Go, right? Because it's those social interaction stuff gives them the tools to pinpoint people who are not for them. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, they're not really getting the real life experience.
The real life experience of like the bully, the one who everybody's like, oh my God, it's like it's a Jennifer. Oh my God, okay, fine. Like they don't get the authenticness of the jerk, the bully within the age range. They get the adult jerk. You don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, oftentimes the adult jerk can do a lot more damage than just that kid calling you names, which is what we're gonna see here.
Yeah. Oh, grown-ups, we're so messed up, are we not? Welcome, Robert. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm glad to be coming into adulthood now.
All right.
Well, all of what we're talking about here, these power dynamics and this unhealthy environment these kids are thrown in, this is something that Dan Schneider would not only lean into, but I would argue downright take advantage of, as he made it known around set which kids were like on his good side, kids that got along with Dan and put up with his crazed work schedule and like very crude and adult humor. Some of which have very suggestive sense of humor for children in particular. Those were the kids that were put in the best sketches and would be prominently featured. They're getting the best parts. Like, keep in mind, this is SNL for kids. So just like you hear with Lorne Michaels, the cast who were on his good side get the best parts. And I think it was very much like that on the set of all that. And this would really spin out of control when Dan is promoted to be the creator and showrunner for the Amanda Show. Like we said, Schneider basically discovered Amanda. He kind of found her at the Laugh Factory, like we talked about. And they would really be connected at the hip from that day forth. While the other kids are in their Hollywood school, like you're kind of talking about here, Robert, that only lasts like 3 hours. Dan would just straight up excuse her from those brief school sessions to, meet privately with her to work scenes and come up ideas. That's weird. Also setting unhealthy power dynamics among the rest of the cast. They're going to be looking at her like, why does she get to come out of school? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where's mom and dad doing that? I mean, anyway.
Where was mom and dad during a lot of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's certain situation, but then again, you might say to yourself, oh, my daughter is doing so great. I don't want to be a parent. So then they'll be kicked out and then she'll hate me forever. Oh boy.
Spooky Gnome saying, isn't that a comedy club? Wasn't she like 11? Yes. The Laugh Factory is a comedy club. Like we referenced earlier, there was a children's I forget what, like a children's workshop that up and coming child actors could come and kind of feature their talents on a night. It was supposed to be a kid friendly environment, and from no allegations have been made that anything was going on at the Laugh Factory for so for all intents and purposes there really wasn't anything mischievous going on there. Stevie says, my mom actually refused to let me audition for Disney and Nickelodeon. Well, you got smart parents.
Mom and dad were there.
They were there. They were like, "Where are you going?"
That's what it looks like for kids that parents that were actually involved. I mean,
what? That's probably why you had a good experience, not so sweet, Stevie. I just called up to see that you were touring 93, 96. I'm sure your mom was like this. Where are you going, my darling? Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah. Oh boy.
They actually dive into a little bit of they talk to some of the adults of these kids on the quiet on the
and what did they say? Oh, that's interesting.
So I guess on the All That set, there was like kind of an area for the parents that was kind of kept off, and like there's so much moving and happening, like scenes changing, costumes changing. They really couldn't see the happenings and goings on of what was going on like minute by minute of the show. So there were frequently very moments where they're like, I have no idea where my kid is right now. So I guess, again, you're kind of put between a rock and a hard place where, of course you want what's best for your kid, but at the same time, that kid is probably now supporting your family. But more importantly, they're telling you how great this is for them and how they like, can you imagine telling your kid that's cast and all that, this isn't good for you. We're going to pull you off. That kid would hate you for the rest of their life and resent you for the rest of their life. That's not the right answer either. So, like, really, what do you do?
Yeah, well.
I mean, it seems like a lose-lose situation, like for the kid and for the parents, because
not for me.
As we all know, hindsight is 20/20.
Always. And
I'm sure looking back, they would have rather, like, these stars would have rather been pulled away from it, especially like Amanda Bynes. I'm sure if her parents had pulled her, looking back now, I'm sure she'd say, yeah, I wish they had.
Yeah.
I think the answer is like Stevie's parents did, and just don't let them audition. Like, just don't even go down that rabbit hole to begin with.
Yeah. Or if you think my daughter is such great talent, sir, perfect. I think so too. I'm not going anywhere unless I can see her. You want to move her around? You move me too. That's it. I mean, it's very simple. You sit down here, and if they love your daughter that much, he'll make it work.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they talked to one parent on the documentary where she kind of says, why didn't, she's saying to herself, like, I bet you might be asking yourself, like, why didn't I go to the police? And I think for a lot of nice shorts, by the way.
Oh,
you didn't sneak by.
You gotta be like this.
We got a sexy scene.
Oh, here's Olympia. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Oh, look at her. Repeating her lines. Oh, where are you going? Get away from me. Hey, what are you doing over there with my kid?
Well, again, this goes back to the environment that Dan created on set of him favoring, currying favor with certain kids. So the parents wouldn't want to get their kid in trouble for something they're doing. Like, they're going to go up to Dan Schneider and be like, I don't care what you guys are doing. I need to see where my kid is at all times.
Yeah.
He's probably going to take it out on
On the
child and not be in the next, few scenes or whatever. And the kid's going to be screaming at him later. Why did you do that? Why were you talking to him that way? You can't get involved. Oh my God. It sounds like a fucking nightmare.
But you know what? Hold on one second. Because listen, as a parent, it's a very fine line to tell another parent how to parent because there's no playbook, right? But also, like the and we've all been kids in our relationship with our parents in particular, but I don't see the whole like, mommy, you did this, therefore you ruined my career. I mean, look, you guys know how horrible my dad was, right? And my mom is not the greatest, but there was never, they did the best, of course, but there was never a time where I was like, mommy, you are the reason why. And I think it all comes down to the family dynamics in some aspect, right? If the culture of the household is conversation and problem solving, then I mean, I don't see the whole mom because you want to see me all the time. Now I'm not friends with him, therefore it's your fault. I'm mad. Right? It doesn't compute so much in my head. I see something more like, okay, look, they don't want you. It's part of the business. Let's go elsewhere. Right? Like I right? Like, I don't know. What do you guys say?
Well, I mean, you're also talking about kids. I don't think they rationalize that far. If my mom would have taken me to the audition, if my mom would have taken me to the auditions and she would have pulled me, I would have never talked to her again.
Really?
I mean, well, I'm not.
You'd be like, mommy, it's your fault that I'm not famous?
Probably. I mean, at that age, absolutely.
There would be a lot of resentment for sure.
At that age, absolutely. Like you're.
Okay,
You're
what if your mom said, look, Robert, look, I know you look, darling, I know you want to be a star, but listen, that guy over there he looked at your butt, he was looking you up and down, a little too thirsty.
I'd say, Mom, I've looked at 6 butts since I walked in the door. Like, what's the big deal?
How interesting. But then again, you're like 11. You don't know what the whole sex thing is. You have no idea.
Yeah, so, and it's like someone looked at my butt. At that age, I'd probably think it was funny.
Okay. So then I'd be like, look, Robert. That's not okay. Grown-ups are not supposed to look at children like that. All right.
Well, that would make a little bit more sense. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's And
also, don't forget, you are an actor. That means you're in an environment that requires a certain level of rationale, right? So it's not. I'm not talking to 11-year-old who just frolics in the prairie, right? So you have some sort of seasoning going on.
Yeah,
so
sure.
So you would understand if I tell you this person is looking at you a little too hard. That's not.
That would probably compute. Yeah.
Right, it would compute.
Yeah, it would compute.
A simple conversation. Look, darling, no. Why? Okay, fine. You want to continue, but keep your eyes open on that guy, okay? And then let me know if anything happens. Okay, mommy. Right?
Well, that's what some of the parents would do. They would warn their kids.
Children.
Yeah, they wouldn't say anything about it, but they'd be like, hey, like watch out for this guy. Because what Nickelodeon would do is they would take the kids. I don't know if they're still doing the system. I don't know if this was done like anywhere else, like Disney. But they would have like the parents like basically just hand the kids over to this one guy to not have the parents like you said interfere with production.
Yeah, and to that point, Spooky brings up a good point. These people with bad intentions, particularly Dan Schneider, he'd be in these kids' ears, likely trying to drive a wedge between them and their parents. It's like you have to understand how much control these people had over their sets. Again, I'm sure the adults were really just trying to kind of go along with the program as much as they could, as much as they are afraid for their children. There's only so far you can press that without wanting to or be afraid of ruining things for your kid. I mean, I don't know. We could split hairs all day on could you get away with this? Could you do this? Could you do that? But
I mean, I think it went too far with Amanda and Dan because they would spend hours together alone. That is too far.
Like, Amanda, you're home pretty late for dinner. Oh,
And
sorry,
honestly, Amanda's parents were some of the more well-known figures on set. Like, they were more involved than some of the other parents. Like, they took her career really seriously and were really involved in it, and spent a lot of time with Dan to make sure they knew what was going on. And, you know, just like you're saying, Alistair, if they weren't comfortable with it, they weren't afraid to push back to Dan. And she's probably one of the worst examples. So I think it really speaks more to how how devious some of these people are. Is they're probably manipulating the parents just as much as they're manipulating the kids.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oof.
Well, you take this toxic work environment and these completely broken power dynamics that was really only felt between Dan and the All That cast, and now he's running an entire show and effectively a whole branch of a network. And it ended up leading to some really dark shit. Say what you will about all the like suggestive skits on all that, like you know, kids getting pseudo face shots or the ambiguous feet shots. You know, it's very clear Schneider has a foot fetish, but he either directly played a role or created an atmosphere where a lot of people, not just kids, but people of all ages, were really hurt and affected in a lot of negative ways. The writers and people behind the scenes at Amanda Show, they categorized that show in particular as being one of the most toxic work environments they have ever taken part in. Dan goes out and hires two inexperienced women from like online forums and stuff, girls who were trying to break into Hollywood but don't have the experience yet. The kind of people who, like children, are going to be susceptible to an imbalanced power dynamic and might be quicker to turn the other cheek to some inappropriate behavior. And even though men on the same writer staff were getting paid a full salary, he makes these two female writers in the Amanda Show split one person's salary. Christy Stratton and Jenny Kilgren liken working for Dan Schneider on the Amanda Show as like being in an abusive relationship. During one particular writer's room session, he flat out admits in front of everyone that there are no funny women, and he asks his only female writers, who are getting paid half a salary, mind you, on a woman-led TV show, which is like the craziest part about all this. The star of who they're writing for is a woman. Like, the irony is so fucking palpable. He's telling these girls there are no funny women, and then asking them to write for his. It's so fucking backwards.
I love that hair.
Which one?
Especially the one with the gray. Oh my God, look at that hair.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
You got a hair thing.
I don't have a hair thing. Although it does seem like I do.
You've admitted that you do.
Listen, maybe I do, but it sounds like it. No, I just there's something about thickalicious hair. My in-laws are hairy as hell. I'm around thick hair all day, all the time. My in-laws are Italians. They have hair everywhere in the sink, in the bathroom. There's hair everywhere. So
you should have been a hairdresser in another life. That would have worked.
No, I think the irony of you loving hair is great.
No, but like, no, it's just it's something that I noticed right away. It's like,
from what I understand, Alistair is bald by choice, not by.
I'm
genetics.
bald by choice. No, I have a lot of hair. I have an afro. My hair gets thick too.
Yeah,
no,
thickalicious. I like thickalicious. I like thickalicious. Yeah. I'm gonna start using that.
That was good. I'm saving that one.
I know Jamie actually. She thickalicious. Anyways, I just shut the fuck up before I get in trouble. Okay, so. So yes, this writer room at the Amanda Show was very much like a boys' club writer's room where a lot of pranks are happening. The guys would they would just like watch porn in the middle of the writer's room where girls are, and then they'd ask these two girls to like give them massages. Very pointedly, yeah.
Oh God, those massages. Ugh.
Yeah, no shit.
They're brought up so much.
Robert, why do you say it like that? Oh God, those massages. Yeah.
Because they're brought up like you know,
many times.
You watch something and it's brought up once. This isn't brought up once. It's brought up throughout the entire runtime of the series. They talk about these massages. Really? It was like a common thing. This wasn't like a one-time thing. Oh, yeah, God. he would basically call over like female cast members or the crew members, and he would have them give him massages.
So gross.
All the time. And
give me a massage, baby. It's so fucking toxic and disgusting. I hate it. Just like I can't even imagine asking someone else to put their hands on me, like especially in a work atmosphere. It's like, keep your fucking hands to yourself.
Yeah, like don't touch me.
Yeah, it's like if I want to go get a massage, I go get a massage, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Wow.
very weird. It just screams like I'm in charge and I can make you do things you don't want to do. Is what this screams of.
It screams tyrannical.
Yes, very
Tyrannical.
good word, tyrannical.
Can I ask? Can I just point something out? I wonder if. Okay, let's do hypotheticals here. All right, Beefy, I start with you, and to you guys over there watching. If you were that kid or a kid, put yourself in that situation, and someone asks you, "Hey, come here and give me a massage," what would you do? Put all the context that we know in. Take all that context.
Alistair, you could go out back and dig up 1,000 pounds of context. I am not fucking touching that guy.
Okay, that's you. All right, Robert, go.
I think under that context, like, and especially my own context of wanting to be an actor, I would probably do it. I wouldn't want to be on Dan's bad side.
Hell no.
On Daddy's bad side. Oh, he said Daddy. Okay.
I know. I said Dan's. I said.
Oh,
Dan's. I said Daddy too. I was like,
Okay.
what
I did not say Daddy. No, sir.
Shipping Dan Schneider here? What is happening?
No.
Okay.
Oh, that just like put it.
I'm playing devil's advocate in
to
this
somebody.
podcast.
He was like, "Call me Daddy." Oh, it's so fucking disgusting.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Okay, so
Daddy
hold on.
Schneider.
Wait,
Oh,
not so
never
Stevie. I
again.
just said as an actress, this is something that's common. But wait, is massages common? Because your comment says touching, like, "Oops, I touched your shoulder. Sorry. Oops, my back of my hand rub your butt cheek. Sorry." Right?
He's not an actor. He's a producer. So even like that doesn't make sense.
Oh, that doesn't make sense. Exactly.
But-
He's a producer.
Even so, I agree with what she said. I mean, I'll actually tell you a quick story. One time, I was like 15, I think, and I was recording I was shooting a short film
Yeah.
with some buddies, and there's this one part where it's a zombie apocalypse short film, and I'm one of the survivors. I'm with my sister, and then we stumble across this warehouse where this big dude is just waiting. This guy's huge. He's like 300 pounds, like 6'5". Like he's a big boy.
Yeah.
And I was 15. And there's one scene where he literally like grabs me by the vest because I'm wearing a tactical.
Yeah, because he's a zombie, right? Trying to eat you.
No, he's a human.
Oh, he's a human.
Yeah, he's a human. But we stumble on his house and we kill his brother. And so he grabs me by the vest and drags me like all the way across the warehouse and slams me on a wall. And we did that so many times. We did like 8 takes. Like the next day, this entire portion of my shoulder like was just bruised to high hell. So she is right. You do have to get used to people getting in your personal space.
Yeah, but again, like there's a fine line between on-camera talent and a producer coming up to you and saying, "Give me a massage." Like you understand, there's a two.
No, I agree. I'm not saying that was okay. I'm saying people do touch you, and it does go too far. Like that goes too far.
Do you know? See, I how do I say this? This is so disturbing to me because I'm the kid who'd be like, "You touch me! He touched my butt! He touched me!" I'm that kid where you'd be like, "Oh my God, Alistair, I don't want him around me," because I would say something so loud, so quick, I'll tell the whole president of the United States. And I feel like, and I don't know if it's because of the way we were raised, little children, but that's why I can compute how like come give you a massage. I don't have your mind. Like, I'm having seizures. I can't put the dots together. But it happened. It happens. It
happens, and it happens a whole lot more than you think. I mean, not just like the massages, but just this like overpowered tyrannical behavior from executives and producers.
We're also not girls, and in particular girls of that time frame. I mean, we're seeing people in the chat are saying that if they were in this situation with, as your reference, Alistair, with the context, that they probably would have. Yeah, I don't know.
Wow. Okay, well, this is a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, continue. Let's go.
Well, the toxic behaviors would extend beyond just these massages. He would engage apparently in these like weird betting scenarios where he's like, at one point he asked one of the girls if she can eat 2 pints of ice cream in an hour for $300, and she does it and just starts puking her guts out because Of course she does. You can't eat that much You can't drink a gallon of milk in an hour, let alone 2 pints of ice cream.
In an hour? That's easy.
I could do that.
I could totally do that. Okay, I'll do that for $300. Yeah, wait. What?
I would do it
last
for
year?
$20.
Yeah. Oh, well, I would.
I love
for
ice
20
cream.
bucks too. Yeah,
That's not the point.
that's not the point. Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, they do say pints, but I think she might have meant cartons because 2 pints isn't that much, but 2
Yes,
cartons of it,
Jeez,
that's
you
still
must
close
like
to a
that.
gallon. That's a lot of lactose.
That is like a breakup right there. A pint.
That's
is
a breakup.
Oh, those Ben and Jerry's pints are so fucking. Anyways, at one point, there's a fly kind of flying around the writer's room, and he asked that same girl, the one who he told her he'd give her $300 and never paid up, if he could kill the fly, and he'd give her give this person $20 or whatever. And she makes like a crude comment, "Oh, should I put it on your tab?" And he immediately freaks out, pulls her out of the room, and he's like, "Don't you dare ever disrespect me like that in front of my employees again. How could you insinuate I'm not good on paying my debts?" Because they're constantly engaging in these shenanigans in the writer's room. You'd think they'd be doing what they're getting paid to do, which is write the fucking Amanda Show, but instead, no, they're eating pints of ice cream and swatting at flies. But
Can I ask one more thing? What's the power structure there? So obviously, who's his boss? Who do you complain to if he's acting a fool? Is it straight to the executive?
Yeah, he's basically the end-all be-all for the Amanda Show. So I'm not intimately familiar with how on-set dynamics work, but yes, they would have to go to somebody with Nickelodeon as opposed to somebody who just works on the Amanda Show, because he's as showrunner the numero uno.
Yeah, he's tip of the spear. It would have to be corporate.
Corporate. Okay, so another lesson, people. HR doesn't work for you. HR works for the benefit of the company. Because I'm thinking, go to HR. HR would be like, "You're fired." How's that? Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a very different structure than it was in the 90s. You could get away with murder back then.
Oh, yeah.
At one point, he asked Chrissy Stratton to act out being bent over a chair and sodomized. And I assure you, he does not phrase it like that. And remind you, this is in the writer's room of a children's TV show.
You must be out your mind.
Crazy that this was going on.
What? All right, so he's a pedophile, allegedly.
No, he was asking an adult to do this, but it's in the writer's room of a children's show.
Yeah, this was Christy Stratton, who's on the left with the blue shirt.
Correct.
Did she do it?
Yes. She didn't talk about it in the docuseries naturally, but
yeah, you can tell that it's not one of her favorite memories, and she just doesn't want to relive. It actually is kind of sad seeing her when they ask her to talk about it. She's like, "Yeah, I don't want to go there. Not one of my favorite memories. I want to relive." And honestly, I can relate to being in a peer pressure situation like that and just doing shit you're not proud of, and getting asked about it later and just kind of being like, I don't know why I did that. It's a very weird thing to give into the mob mentality, which we've talked about frequently in this channel. And then somebody kind of asks you after the fact, "Why did you do that?" And it's you kind of don't even know. You're almost asking yourself that. I don't know why I did that. I just did it.
It's probably trauma. And my heart aches really for the girl in blue for having to do that. Can you imagine the level of despair you must be to actually, as a grown adult, to go ahead with requests like that in public? You must absolutely need that paycheck because you're going to get
what makes it even sicker is probably 6 feet away in the next room. There's kids wearing lobster costumes and practicing acting like a fit. It's ridiculous that there's a girl bent over a chair doing that, and it's just so backwards.
And she must have known this is not okay, but I have to do this because I need to get the paycheck. Think about her position in her life to rationalize that as, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. That's what makes me super sad.
It was definitely coerced.
Yeah.
Well,
eventually,
twice, I think, twice or 3 times she declined, and then he got a little bit serious and said about do it, and then
because she was scared to be fired.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, I'll do it.
She would get fired shortly after this too.
Oh, and she gets fired? Oh my god.
Got fired anyway, so.
Oh my god.
Well, eventually Viacom, again, Paramount today, they get wind that Dan is paying two women one salary, I should clarify. And by that, they find out that, because Jenny Kilgren told them. But the then Writers Guild threatens to kind of shut them down. And Dan calls her up all pissed. Have you been conspiring against me? If I find out you called Viacom and told on me, you'll never work for Nickelodeon. You'll never work at Viacom again. Threats that I'm like 1,000% sure he could not back up. Like, can you imagine this guy being like, "Oh, Jenny Kilgren, don't hire her." And they'd be like,
well, he was
who are
so
you?
drunk on his power.
Yeah,
he was
really
he became a full-blown narcissist here. It was like, oh, look
Yeah.
at my shows. I'm the king. He was drunk on it. So yeah, in his mind, he could be like, I'm the king. You're going to bend over and pretend.
Yeah.
I mean, and the worst part is he probably was right. Like, I don't doubt that he could have pulled strings to not have her work either at Nick or at anywhere else. I mean, they do that. That's how it works.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, like, part of me, maybe he could, like, spin some lies, like, oh, she was horrible to deal with or whatever, but I don't know. Like, I'm thinking about like, if she goes to work at MTV, right, and, like, some dude from Nickelodeon's calling saying, don't hire, like, I don't know. I don't see it. I think he
That
would
happens. Oh, wait, no, that happens. Please.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know enough about the business.
Yeah.
Hollywood is a business of relationships. It's not so
It happens
much
everywhere. It's not just Hollywood. It happens
Yeah.
in real life, in regular job. It happens to it happens in pharmaceuticals. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Well,
it happens like everywhere. Nepotism and power dynamics and relationships. Dan makes a call to another executive at MTV. He says, "Don't hire this girl," and that girl will never be hired.
It will never work.
Yeah.
It's about who you know.
That's right. And like, again, you think HR is your friend. HR is not your friend, because sometimes those calls are made by HR to the other HR, because HR is, they say, don't hire that person. All right. Okay.
Interesting.
Yep. Please.
Well, Christy on the left there, as we said, would shortly end up getting fired after the chair incident. I guess what they say in the documentary is because she had like friends over during the weekend. It's like these people weren't allowed to have private lives. It's actually really fucked up. But Jenny would then get paid her full salary, but they refer to it as like double salary. But it's really what she should have been getting paid from the get-go for the last few weeks. And then season 2 comes along, and she was the only one offered to come back.
How much was that salary, by the way? How much was it a year?
I couldn't find that anywhere. I'm not sure.
They don't mention it in the docuseries either.
Yeah, because it's
and I did independent research, and I couldn't find anything either.
Man, she probably wouldn't tell you. She was like, I'm not going to be embarrassed again. No.
Well, she was offered 16 weeks pay for a 27-week season to come back on season 2. And even though he had just hired a full-time white guy with no experience and no credentials, full-time salaried positions, she's having a woman who had already written for the show for an entire season. She's offering for her to come back for partial pay.
For partial pay.
Up. And 4 days into the season, Dan would call an all-men's writer's room in his office. They would have a private meeting, and then he would call Jenny in, and with all the guys standing behind his desk, he would sit Jenny down in a chair in front of him and ask her, "Didn't you used to do phone sex?" And this is where we see the first legal allegations actually set in against Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon.
What? Where is that guy? Tell me he's alive.
Yeah.
He is.
Okay, good.
We'll hear from him.
Okay, perfect.
Dan was accused of gender discrimination, hostile work environment, and sexual harassment.
Yeah.
These proceedings would ultimately be settled out of court. But yeah, we actually get like legal documents alluding to the fact that there was this hostile work environment going on. So things kind of trudge on for a couple years. Eventually, Amanda hits 16, and given she has headlined her own fairly successful TV show, she's basically a household name at this point. And wanting to branch away from kids' TV, she starts doing movies. You guys might be familiar with these, Big Fat Liar and What a Girl Wants.
Yeah.
I saw them. They were okay. They're with that Malcolm kid. They did okay. Big Fat Liar grossed $53 million against a budget of 15, so quite the moneymaker. What a Girl Wants costed 25 and made 64. So at this point in her career, she's a bona fide movie star.
Yeah.
And Dan Schneider was a producer on both of these movies. So as I said earlier, he's literally just riding this girl's coattails. And in his mind, she's taking him out of kids TV and into like genuine Hollywood. His fat sausage fingers could not be more cringedly tight grasped onto her if he tried.
You're so funny, Beefy.
And so he would, with Amanda, co-create a TV show, a proper adult sitcom on cable called What I Like About You. He would co-create this with Will Calhoun from Friends. And according to many sources on the show, Dan didn't like the direction of the show and was constantly fighting with his co-creator, Will Calhoun, who again worked on Friends. So, like, of course, the network is going to side with Will. He's made one of the biggest sitcoms of all time in the 90s. Well, let alone the 90s of all time. And then there's like fat, goofy predator from fucking kids TV. Like, of course they took his side. So Schneider is unceremoniously removed from What I Like About You. Of course, Dan, when he's asked about this, he purports that he was just busy with other projects. But like, that's revisionist history. That's the story I would probably tell people too. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't want him there.
Yeah.
He probably had a reputation like, oh yeah, that's the kids TV guy.
Yeah. Frankly, I don't know what I'd be like. Yeah, I got fired, and there's nothing wrong with being fired. God, I got fired. You got a job for me?
I don't. Well, I've only ever been fired. Like, I've had a lot of jobs, but I've only ever been fired once.
Yeah, there's no shame in
I
being
still
fired.
say that I was just like looking for other opportunities. or
No,
something.
there's no shame in being fired. I'd be like, I got fired. I got fired so hard. They closed the door. They're like, never show up again. I said all the time.
Security threw me out.
They threw me in the garbage. They were like, bye. But the thing is this part of life. There's no shame in being fired, right? There's no shame. I got fired.
Yeah.
Right, it happened.
This might be a little bit of speculation on my part, but I really think at this point, Dana's sensing that his golden goose is kind of blossoming into a young movie star and kind of leaving him in the dust, more or less.
Yeah.
So he is just like desperate to maintain control of this girl somehow. Again, there's nothing official to suggest this. It's kind of my own filling in the blanks. But Amanda, around this time, after Dan is fired from the show, she's starting to get a taste of adult celebrity and doesn't really like being treated like the 16-year-old kid that she is by her adults and everyone around her.
Right.
You know, she's still living with her parents, and rightfully, I'm sure they were like, no, you can't go to nightclubs and drink and do coke and date celebrities because they're fucking parents and this is a child. This is a 16-year-old kid. And so Amanda, she runs away from home. And guess where she goes? Dan fucking Schneider's house. Her parents are livid that he's essentially kidnapped her. Like, yes, she went there of her own volition, but he's like harboring a fugitive, a minor one at that. Like, eventually a police report would be filed, but many believe that there was like a romantic thing going on here. Like, to what extent is very much debated. It's very much the general consensus online.
Yeah.
But there is little in the way of proof to support that. It's like pure just online speculation to that fact. And actually, a lot of people seem to think that, and again, there's a lot of people saying this, and it's not just like a few Redditors. Like, you see this in the comments of all of these Nickelodeon videos.
Of course.
People are claiming that Amanda actually got pregnant by Dan and that he forced her to get a hidden abortion. Again, there's no evidence of this.
I
It's
wouldn't
just
be
speculation
surprised.
on my part. It's just rumor, but it's part of the story, and you take that information for what it's worth.
It
There's
makes
also,
sense.
sorry to interrupt. There's also
No,
a couple of clips that that kind of fuel this rumor that she got pregnant and had an abortion when she was 13.
Oh my God.
There are a couple of clips of the Amanda show where they make a couple jokes, but they're very like weird jokes and they're like stitched together.
Oh yeah, she's saying the same thing here, that she ended a pregnancy around the age of 13.
Yeah, see, that's the one that we're talking about. So in the show, she's with some guy, and he's like, he's a regular in the show. He's an older man. He sells like ice cream or bagels or something.
Yeah,
bagels. Yeah, it was bagels. And he says like, "Are you going to work on an empty stomach?" And it's a little bit weird. And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just meaning like, do you want a bagel?" And then like very shortly after, they make another joke where she's like, "Well, I'll take 398 bagels." And the guy says, "If you buy 400, you'll get a free baby." And then they actually pull a baby out of the bagel cart and kind of just put it on her arms.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. I don't think this rumor is true.
You could
But-
drive yourself crazy going back and watching all the weird Nickelodeon clips and like what they mean. Like there's one where a snot hero comes out and sneezes on a girl, and they say that was like a pseudo face shot. Yeah, there's all kinds of. We're actually going to look at one in here in a moment. So she runs away from home, goes to Dan Schneider, and he's like, "Let's get you emancipated," because of course he does, the sick little fucking freak. And luckily, this all blows up in court. She's denied emancipation, but this drives a huge wedge between Dan and Amanda's parents. And luckily, this is where kind of Dan and Amanda split ways. So all of Dan's dreams of getting out of kids' TV and into proper sitcoms and movies, they're gone now. And Nickelodeon, of course, just takes him right back with open arms. Ruin more children, they say. Let's get you another toxic fucking writer's room. We'll get you 3 of them.
Yeah,
And we're gonna just pay you boatloads of money while you do.
Of course, because to them, it's just a paycheck. They're looking at that.
I mean, who knows?
Like,
Maybe they knew what a fucking little stinker this guy was. Maybe they didn't. Who knows?
Of course they knew. You think the people up there? Of course they knew. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, especially like you said earlier, you could get away with anything back then.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Harvey Weinstein. I mean, that shit went on for decades. You could get away with anything if you had enough power, like Dan had.
Well, this is where the the Schneiderverse, I keep referring to it, is like really properly born. He brings back all that with a new cast. He discovers iCarly, Drake and Josh, just an entire family of shows, all under the Dan Schneider umbrella. And any semblance of humility he may have once had about like trying to sneak in crude sexual references in kids' TV is gone. He is just full on like foot fetish. You're seeing these like shots to the face all the time. Let's dump these children with slime. It gets really weird. And the more you hear about this guy and then see some of these scenes, and what's left in the wake of it, like here, I'm going to show you a particular clip and you guys can kind of decide for yourself. But I don't know if all of this is necessarily coincidence. I think that there's deliberate intent behind some of this stuff. So this is a scene called Cat Thoughts, and it's from a show called Victorious, and it was created and executive produced by Dan Schneider, and it's kind of weird. It's starring Ariana Grande, but let's take a look.
Hi!
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is another video where I just tell you whatever random thoughts pop into my head, and since these videos have become pretty popular, I created a special beginning with a theme song and everything. I wrote and produced this myself. Here it is. My name is Kat. Here's a video for you. I know it's not fancy, but it's something to do. So if you get bored, just call online.
Still a great singer, even back then.
Everything's fine.
Random carrot.
Sometimes I wonder if you can get juice from a potato. I wonder if I pulled my hair back in a ponytail and then rubbed honey all over my face and then stuck my face in a big bowl full of popcorn, what would my face look like when it came out?
I don't know, man.
Okay. This is an olive. And this is a tweezer. Now, what is it?
That's actually a funny bit. What are those
Why?
things?
Is it possible for a teenage girl to drink water upside down? I'm thirsty. It's not possible. This has been me in a video.
Oh, and she does it again. Okay.
Come on, give up the juice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
listen. And this is where yeah, they will fire my daughter in a heartbeat because I would be all over that face, be like, what is that? What is that? What the hell was that? What the hell was that? Like, it's stuff like that I question honestly, and because it's I understand it's me, right? It's not the it's different, but I would question I would question parents' intention with that. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is
I
that?
don't know. Definitely weird. Yeah, it's suggestive to say the least. Like I said, he's reached his full form, is what I like to say in this show. He's just the chains are off, the restrictions are gone. He's just he's letting it all hang out at this point.
And it's all about context
Hiding
too,
in plain
right? Like
sight,
if this would be different if this was like, the happy-go-lucky random person, but the fact that this is a man who has a history of doing this thing, the context changes the outcome of the video. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, no, definitely, and that's one of the points that I also talked about in the video was that like humor is subjective, right? Just like you, Alistair said earlier, there's no guidelines to being a good parent. There's no guidelines to being a good writer either. It's just kind of we as a writer draw the moral line. You choose the humor, you choose what goes in the skit, and whether it's right for your audience or not.
Yeah,
it's something like you see in a Pixar film, right? Like you've seen Cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cars after the Piston Cup and the Tia and Mia, I think they're called. I don't know. The two cars that are fans of the Queen, they ride up and they flash him, right?
Okay.
It's a little reference.
That's funny.
And they flash him and it's not just a quick flash. Like he actually like stares at the lights and he's like,
Yes. It's funny, but it's context.
No, and it's funny, but it's also like. It's also obscure enough to where you have to be an adult to understand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's obscure. That is 100% a joke for the adults. Or another example in Toy Story, in the very beginning, in the first one, Woody and Bo Peep, I think she's called. I don't know. Bo, his love interest. She comes to him and she's like, "Why don't I get somebody else to watch the sheep tonight?" And Woody's like, "Oh yeah."
I know, but this is nothing compared to what we just saw.
No, of course.
90s TV was full of little innuendos like that, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Of like you said, the adults get it, and the kids that get it, and the kids that don't, it just goes over their head.
Yeah.
And to my point is, it's sexual. It's a sexual reference in a kid's like item in a kid's movie or a kid's TV show, but it's obscure. This isn't obscure. This is just flat out.
Well, there's a big difference between a toy Woody and toy Bo talking about possibly having toy sex and them sexualizing a very real minor. Like those are two very different things.
Exactly. It's like the potato thing. There's zero like subtext.
Can I get juice for potato by squeezing it, girl?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The like water. There's no contact, or there's no
carrot,
or the carrot. Yeah, it's like the carrot. There's no subtext. It's just thrown at you, and it's not very tasteful. It's actually like now in hindsight, with all this come to light, it's very uncomfortable to watch.
It's humiliating. Yeah. He has a fetish of, I guess, feet, like you mentioned.
Yes.
And he likes to humiliate women. By the way, you guys know the foot fetish is the most popular fetish.
Yeah, it's very common.
Okay. Come on.
Let's be fair. You have something you want to tell us?
Let's open one another, right?
All right. Well, listen, we have a lot more to get through, and we're running out of time here.
Oh, okay. BP's like, shut up. All right, fine, go.
The allegations surrounding misconduct would not officially begin in the large media as a whole until about 2018, seeing a Deadline Hollywood article reporting of several issues regarding Dan Schneider's behavior on set against accounts of well-documented temper issues for years. And that on Twitter, he often posts pictures of young ladies' feet that worked for him. I'm not going to show the actual pictures for obvious reasons.
I mean, the feet. Feet is.
Yes.
What kind of pictures are we showing?
I'm not going to show them because they're of kids. But
of kids.
So he would link the photos.
Yeah.
Wait, of children's feet, not grown-up feet?
Kids' feet.
Oh, my lord.
At one point, even requesting his child audience tweet in pictures of their feet. Just weird stuff.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
What?
Nickelodeon.
Oh my god.
Nickelodeon would stand by Schneider through almost all of this.
Because he makes them money.
2021, where the New York Times finally reported that they were severing ties after an internal investigation found evidence that Schneider was verbally abusing his colleagues. Some colleagues told the newspaper that they found him to be difficult to work with and, quote, prone to tantrums and angry emails. The investigation did not find evidence of sexual misconduct. However, when asked about the allegations, Schneider defended his work and said that if people found him hard to be worked with, it was because he maintained high standards as a showrunner. Of course he did. In August of 2022, Insider reported several new allegations from former actors and employees, including accusations of gender discrimination and asking for massages from adult female colleagues. A person close to Schneider said Schneider, quote, regrets ever asking anyone for a massage and agrees it was not appropriate. Russell Hicks, a former executive at Nickelodeon, denied allegations of sexualized scenes in Schneider's shows and claimed that, quote, every day on set where the parents and caregivers and friends watched every single frame of footage and listened to every joke. Every single thing that Dan ever did on any of his shows was carefully scrutinized and approved by the network.
Well, there you go. Told you. They know. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
I mean, if everything was like scrutinized and I'm sorry to interrupt, but if everything was scrutinized and approved, that just makes it just so much worse.
Yeah, it makes it worse. HR is not your friend. Who's this?
So cut to 2024 to just like a few weeks ago when the Quiet on Set documentary debuted, which, by the way, still hasn't even finished airing. I think there's supposed to be one more episode that comes out on the 7th. I forget what today is, but another episode's about to drop. But independent of any news organization or media appearances, Schneider just drops a response on his YouTube channel in response to all the Quiet on Set allegations. So we don't have a whole lot of time. We're not going to watch all this, but let's take a look at some of what Schneider has to say about what's being said about him.
I played T-Bo on Nickelodeon's iCarly. I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes. Dan?
Idiot.
I'm okay. I really appreciate you reaching out and giving me the opportunity to talk to you about what we saw over the last 2 nights.
I'm really glad you're here because I believe this is important.
For sure.
We've got a lot of things to unpack. But before I dive into my list of topics that I'd like to discuss, is there anything you'd like to start off with?
Absolutely. Watching over the past 2 nights was very difficult. Me facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret. And I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation. And even additionally, I apologize to the people who were walking around Video Village or wherever they happened, because there were lots of people there who witnessed it who also may have felt uncomfortable. So I owe them an apology as well.
Yeah. Dan, talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw,
okay,
not cool.
No.
Okay.
I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses. Most TV writers, comedy writers have been in writers' rooms, and they are aware that a lot of times there are inappropriate jokes made and inappropriate topics come up. But the fact that I participated in that, especially when I was leading the room, it embarrasses me. I shouldn't have done it. And I can tell you why it hurts really bad for me. I remember very clearly my early experiences, my first experiences in the entertainment business. I was green, I was scared, I was excited. It meant the world to me that I was getting those opportunities.
Okay, I don't even want to give him the platform to try and justify why he did what he
Please.
did. One thing I will kind of give him credit for here, and not to like justify what he's saying it by any means, but him just kind of standing up and saying, yes, I did this, but more importantly, yes, I did this and it was wrong. I think a lot of time with these celebrity like apology or response videos, you kind of get like the excuse disguised as an apology. And even though they may be saying the right words that their agent or whomever told them to say, you kind of don't really believe they've learned anything.
Not at all.
This to me
Yeah.
It does feel like he knows what he did was wrong, and he
Mm.
watched back the same thing that we did and was like, "Oh, I'm a fucking full-on monster,"
Uh-huh.
and he is. But I also do think that a certain amount of context, like you kind of are alluding to, Robert, is necessary. And I don't say that to victim blame or justify his actions by any stretch of the imagination. The things that he did are disgusting. But nonetheless, to truly tell this tale objectively, we need to paint this picture with the full nuance and detail that,
Mhm.
you know, a full painting would require. The
Mhm.
90s were just flat out a different time. We were in the height of counterculture, and
Yeah.
it was in to be edgy and say raunchy stuff in a boys' club atmosphere in particular. And so, with that writer's room being, as we hear, somewhat of like a writer's room, I know that myself, I've both participated and kind of been the victim of those mentalities, like that boys' club mentality in the 90s. And
Mhm.
the right circumstances have said things that if I were to repeat, I'd be full on canceled. And I know what's in my heart, like that I genuinely care about people and just naturally have a deep, deep empathy that like almost trumps my own self-preservation at times. And even as a child, I was susceptible to that. So I'm not saying that he's justified in doing any of these things, but I think to really explain this tale for what it truly is, that's the environment that we were in. It was very, very common for these things to be happening. That's all.
I'm actually going to touch up a little bit more on what you said about the apology video, because I did watch it. I didn't watch it fully, sort of for the same reasons. I was thinking in my mind, you know, I'm not going to give this guy the time of day. But for the clip that I did see, and as far as like you mentioned, celebrity videos and like YouTuber apologies go, they're pretty bad. They're awful. They look something straight out of AI. Just,
Yeah.
you know, Chat GPT, type an apology, but this was way better than Nickelodeon's apology. Nickelodeon was something straight out of corporate jargon, 2-sentence. We do not condone any of this. It was the most pathetic apology I've ever seen from a studio that's been accused of something like this. So as far as apologies go, I am inclined to believe that Dan is regretful, right? Like he sounds genuine. He doesn't sound like he's avoiding the issue. He's actually confronting it. Like you said, I'm not condoning anything that he has done in the past, but it seems like, I don't know, there might be some sort of way that he's actually regretful of his decisions.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. So number one, when someone puts out an apology video, right off the bat, hearing an apology is what's expected. So this is how I process things. You have to remove the apology out of the apology video because that's expected. It's like saying, I'm going to tell you a story. And you tell me a story. Yeah, I already know that. If his intention was to make an impact in regards to what the whole issue at hand, he would have done it a different way. I'll tell you one way that he could have done it. He could have come clean with who over there in the executive seat in Nickelodeon was in cahoots with everything that was happening. That's something new. That's something that, as someone that's expecting remorse, it would resonate a lot more. Another thing also, because he did mention that he comes from a background where he was green, naive, and scared. He's doing exactly what, according to him, other people have done to him. This actually makes it worse of an apology.
Yeah.
That makes it even worse. And then about the writer's room, nobody should feel like that. There's nothing that resonates. There's nothing of substance. It's like if I tell you, I'm sorry, but it's like, I'm sorry, but no, when you're genuine about something, you don't care about your image. You don't care about, the only thing you should care about is who you affected.
Yeah.
Because these first words of the interview is what? I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's not about you, buddy. It's not about you. If his mindset was in the right spot, I'm okay would not be his first words. Look, I make a living out of guessing people's intention. I'm a beast in contracts. But the reason why I'm a beast in contracts is because you have to listen to what's not being said. If someone tells you, let me tell you something, most likely it's expected. I want to hear what's not expected. That gives me a better idea as to where you are in the head. And so just small snippet over there puts all of that apology in the garbage. Not trustworthy. Not trustworthy. It would have been a bigger impact if he said, that guy in Nickelodeon, the executive, he signed me off. He was wrong for doing that. You know, yeah, of course, I told her to bend over, act like a horse. You know what? But he knew that. And you know what? I'm sorry, but he, bring everybody burn. Then it's genuine, because then you care about the victims. Not when you, Johnston, I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a bit more deflective. Like, I do hear what you're saying, and you do make a really good point. Like, listening to what's not really being said.
Yeah.
However, if you would have done that, if you would have come out and said, "Hey, John Doe was actually the one who signed off on all these decisions," that to me would sound like go get him. Like,
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, go get that guy.
Yeah. No, but guess what?
He told me it was okay. It's not my fault.
No. I wouldn't. You could phrase it in a sense where it's like you're not deflecting. You could say, I did this, and I also did this with this pervasiveness of this organization. It's not just me. We all did this to you, so we are sorry. You know what I mean? Everybody burns at that point. But you know what? This is where people will actually appreciate the apology.
You're saying you wish he had said, like, yes,
No,
I did these disgusting things. But
if
even
he just was honest, because that was not honest. If he just was honest, people would have felt it. And the reason why these apology videos are cringy is because I'm having an apology video. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. I didn't need a video for that. Do you know what I'm saying? If you want to make an impact, to at least tell the public that, oops, come clean. Come clean. He's rich enough. He doesn't care about the lawsuit. First of all, there'll be no lawsuit because he's telling the truth. He has enough money to retire. Okay, I don't get hired again. Who cares? He has, if he really cared, he doesn't need to work. Come clean. Period. That would have made a bigger impact. People will relate to that more. He said everything but the most important thing, which is, I'm guilty. He's just like, I'm okay. Yeah, people shouldn't feel like that. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. That's what he said in a long video. And then the interviewer was sitting there like, oh, crap. This is, you could tell how I got fired many times, right? Please. Yeah, you can tell. Get out, Mr. Ezekiel. Fine. I got fired.
And I guess when you put it like that, I do agree. But I don't think that anyone would ever do that because of the lawsuits. I mean, they would get buried in lawsuits forever until the day they drop dead.
Oh, not if it's true. Oh, please.
No, even if it's true, like people lie all the time. What happened to Drake Bell and that girl? That girl lied about all of her
the thing is with corporate Nickelodeon, it's signed off, right? He could put out the receipts and the emails. So unless there's a hidden contract that he signed to say shut the F up, I would have come clean.
Well, it's like you said, if he really cared, he would have come clean.
If he really cared, he would. Yeah. And don't forget, these kind of interviews.
I guess my question here is like, what didn't he? Because he kind of owns up to it right out the gate. What are you expecting him to say?
Okay, his first sentence should not be, "I'm okay."
Well, I think the guy asked.
No, he didn't ask you how you're doing. No, he didn't.
I think he did.
He did?
I think he did. Yeah, he's like, "Hey, Dan, how you doing?" I think.
No, I don't think so. Can we replay it? Let's see the.
That's all right. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
No, I don't think so. He just wants to talk about it because he said if Dan has something to say about it, and he did, and then they went to his video. He goes, "I'm okay." Like, motherfucker, I don't care if you're okay or not. I'm the victim. Who cares if you're okay? Clearly, you're okay. You're rich over there with your nice retirement plan. Of course, you're okay. So right off the bat, like, it doesn't ring very well. And then he goes straight into. I'm sorry, nobody should feel like that. But when I was green, I was taken advantage of as well. So he's
we don't know that's what he says.
Well, no, that's what he said. He said this reminds me from when I was when he was starting out as a green, scared, and excited writer.
No, but he never said that that's how he was treated. I know because I didn't see the full video. I don't know if that's what he said.
No. He didn't say it like that. But if you go, he starts with that being promptly how he's doing, and then he goes to. I'm sorry that they felt like that. Nobody should feel like that. I apologize. Oh my God, my behavior was terrible. And then he said, but I wrote, but yeah, he said, but this reminds me from when I was green, scared, and excited as a starting writer. I mean, 1, 2, 3 steps.
Okay.
I'm okay. Please don't care what you think. Sorry you feel that way. And by the way, I was taking abuse too. That's not an apology. This is complete garbage. This is within the first minute of an apology. If anything, he should have put that at the end. The first message should be, because the first few minutes when everybody's going to pay attention, that should have been when he hits the mark, and then he can talk about the feathers, the weather, or whatnot in the middle. But at the beginning, you don't play, man. You're serious. I'm sorry. You go right off the bat. All that fluff, no. The fluff is because his lawyers are behind it. His publicist is behind it. There's a lot of voices behind the head that makes it very impossible to talk very genuine, which is why apology videos are all bull crap.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, definitely have some different takes here on
Yeah.
you know.
It's like it's 7. I
for
gotta
all of
go.
us to- Yeah, we are at the 2-hour mark.
I gotta go too. Don't worry.
I did have some information about Amanda Bynes. I do just want to talk about it really quick. Because she was really affected by what happened with Dan Schneider. And you can see what she looks like nowadays, and it's completely different from what she used to. She's not doing okay. She struggled for years with substance abuse, mental illness. According to her, she's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Several times she's been, forcefully inducted into 72-hour mental evaluation holds. Her parents had to take over as a conservatorship for her for a while, so she's not doing okay. She's on TikTok now. It's very clear that she has been destroyed by her childhood, and my heart breaks for her because she's really if not one of the biggest victim in all of this. Really kind of is sad. So yeah, there you go.
Oh boy, Beefy, I'm ready for this final thought. Okay.
Good. So let me cue that up.
The final thought.
You know what's really great, Beefy? Even though I don't really see your facial expressions, I can somewhat kind of tell what the hell your face is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt. Do you?
No, I interrupt all day. Go ahead.
Do you actually know what Beefy looks like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Beefy, I was gonna say I'll let you answer that. Okay. I know I look disorganized. My brain is on. It may not look like it. I'm on. And so I was giggling a little bit because Beefy, you cut into my segue. I can somewhat picture your eyeballs, and it makes me giggle. Anyway,
you can see my squirrel paws pointing to my watch behind scene, like wrap it up, wrap it up. If there was a squirrel holding a sign of wrap it up, that's what I look like behind the scenes.
This is like this. Hurry up, motherfucker. Hurry up. Okay. No, no, listen. So this final thought is gonna play into you, Robert. Okay. You're like, what? No, listen. This whole story is about what? You're like, what? People will get away with stuff that you allow them to get away with. And at the end of the day, fame, money, all that good stuff, the essence of who you are as a person doesn't really change that much. Yeah, you may have like trauma and experience, good or bad. They kind of shape a little bit of the immediate picture, but the overall picture of who you are, it's pretty much set. So if you're a DICK, you will always be a DICK. If you're an awesome person, you will be an awesome person. Small variation here and there. And I say all this to say is that predators are very good at catching the ones who are very nice. And it's important that you become an ally. What the hell do I mean by that? If you see something that's not right, say it. Say it. Say it. If something at work happens, like, what are you doing? What is that? No, I don't like that. Say it. Because the more people stifle, people are like, I don't want to lose my job. No, you could say it silently. Go to HR, make a little bit of noise, make everybody aware of it behind the scenes, because then have somebody else who has position of power to address this person, because that guy got away with this because they allowed it. you think corporate of Nickelodeon wouldn't put a stamp on it if people starting to talk? Like, oh my God, too many staff people are complaining because people just kept their mouth shut because they didn't have Alistair in there. But listen, and I go back to you there, Robert. It's because as you're entering into this interesting venture of YouTube and all that good stuff, welcome back. Take care of your mental health. I'm not saying anything, but just keep mental eyes on how you feel in the head and make that as a priority, because Beefy, and I don't have to tell you, it's gonna happen. Welcome back. Expect this. Just make sure you put yourself first, because if you're not okay, nobody else is gonna be okay. Do you understand me?
No, definitely. Yeah, no, I manage my personal life in this very well. I have my me time and I have my work time. When I kicked off the channel like 2 weeks ago, I was living, breathing.
Yeah, you're excited. And I was editing.
Just like 2 weeks, boom, 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 everything. I didn't eat. I would eat like once a day just because I was editing videos. But now I'm like, wait, that's not healthy either. So I'm managing my, like, I actually have a schedule now. It's like Monday through Friday. I'm gonna work all day, Monday through Friday. That's fine. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Saturday,
those
Sunday's
first
me
few
time.
months making videos, I would literally fall asleep at my desk editing. I just sit on my bed in my office because I would edit for so long. Don't do that, man. Don't.
No, I mean, like I told you, I went like a solid 18 or straight hours into the what was it, like 36 hours awake just to record that video. And it still came out like 4 days after.
I totally understand.
But you should have really just, I mean, if you were trying to hit a deadline and you didn't make it anyways, you should have just paced yourself.
Yeah.
I get it. I know how enthralling it can be and exciting to see all the numbers and comments and, do what you love, but just, be responsible. Give yourself breaks. Pace yourself.
Respect your mental health. And to all of you listening, I know, right? Like, Alistair, what are you talking about? Just go outside, look at the trees, look at the, put your feet on the grass, feel it.
You will run into very few people who advocate for your mental health for you. And I think that's kind of the point you're trying to make, is that we as a society need to collectively kind of do that more, is like point out these predators that very frequently kind of pick these people up and operate in the shadows and prey upon people who are weak. And if we had people looking out for us and trying to speak up for our mental health more, we as a society collectively be a lot better. So, it's not just about calling other people out, but also standing up for yourself. So let's just all work together to make sure we're all happy and healthy and doing what's appropriate for ourselves. I agree. I love it.
Yay!
That's amazing. Behind.
Thanks so great for coming on today. This was a blast. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys for having me. I had a great time.
Oh, good. I'm
guys,
happy.
Make sure you go out there and sub to Robert Last's YouTube channel. His link is right there in the title of the video. Jamie, Bubba, anybody else that's still here? Spooky, Alicia, Stevia, everybody, thank you for coming out today. We love you. It's great to be back. Sorry we were gone so long. Thank you so much for watching. Replay crew, we love you. Drop a comment, let us know you're here. And with that, Alistair, can you please take us home?
Yes, I'll take you home. But one more thing. So I know you said
me home.
Sorry for being gone for so long. But Beefy, what happens when we go on vacation and because I'm just saying vacation time is coming up. But anyway,
we'll go on vacation.
Okay, good. That's what Beefy's like, Alistair, you cannot go on vacation. Do you understand me? No. Yeah, right. All right. Now, like, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. I think I'm here next Thursday. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
End transmission.
Thank you for watching.